Welcome to Toffee Blue View, your source for all things Everton. This is Gerry, as usual, talking in my slightly southern accent. South USA ranked as the 9th sexiest according to Who Cares Weekly, I think. The Scouse accent was 20-something. I just want to throw that out there as well. We also, not that I speak remotely South USA, but whatever. Joining me as per the usual, Terry and Max. They are the guys. They are here again. I'm gonna read off some stats. 22 shots to 8, 3 on goal to none. 64% possession to 36, 10 corners versus 5. It was a match, frankly, that if you just saw the stats or if you watched part of the game, you would have assumed that Everton won. It didn't happen, though. So we're going to start with, you know what? Last time we started with Max, we'll start with Terry this time because we don't want him to cry in the corner afterward. Terry, was this a situation where it was lack of clinical edge, lack of quality chances, or just a big hodgepodge of both?
I don't think it was a lack of chances. I do think it was a lack of cutting edge. We did make some pretty good openings for ourselves, especially early on in the match. And Calvert-Lewin did waste a good few chances to really work the keeper and test the keeper. He's been fantastic in recent weeks, and I think there's some supporters who are a little bit eager to criticise him because finishing is a weakness to his game. No one's denying that, but I can't be too harsh on the lad. Like some of the games we've played recently where we've beaten the top teams, we've only done that because of his work rate. He's been man of the match in some of those games, but in this game, I think it was just a case of not having that killer instinct. I know Max talks about it all the time. We don't seem to finish the chances we make, and it's not all down to Calvert-Lewin. Like the other players weren't at it either. Bernard had a better game against Wan-Bissaka than he did in the home game, but he still
Wan-Bissaka was brilliant though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he struggled again. Bernard was better than he was, but he couldn't have got much worse than that first game, and he's really struggled against what is a very good right back. And Richarlison, I don't think he was unfit, but he just wasn't sharp as he's been in recent games because he'd only made a late fitness test. So our entire front three laboured quite a bit, and Sigurdsson was quite frustrated when he came off. I don't know if you noticed. Seemed like a few times where we got in good positions and we just couldn't find him. And it was just our attacking four were just having an off day. Plenty of chances, plenty of good possession, good defensive display, good at the back, but no killer instinct. It was the type of game where we missed that Lukaku type striker, that sort of scores the chances he gets. In his Everton days, we missed that presence to him on Saturday, and just one of those games. Couldn't have done much more. 10 corners. Whatever. You could have played for 3 more hours. Wouldn't have scored the way it was going.
I definitely noticed Sigurdsson frustrated during the match. Richarlison not getting his head up, not being able to find him across. I've seen it happen in my kids' games all the time where my kid holds onto the ball and the kid in the middle who's literally doing cartwheels that he's so open, and my kid's just holding the damn ball too long. Richarlison's doing the same stuff. Just not getting his head up and being able to find. Now, part of the thing that makes Richarlison so great is the fact that there is a bit of greed there. And when I say greed, I really mean confidence. He thinks he'll be able to get around and get a shot off. Sometimes that is a very good thing. So not just straight up, attacking the player on that. But Sigurdsson was very open more than once. Can I ask Max one last question just before you get started? It was very, very wind. Yeah. It was.
It was very, very wind.
Very, very wind. All right. And
most managers would have complained about that after the game.
What was that?
Most managers would have complained about it.
I'm glad we didn't. But I did see, on the whole, it was just a super sloppy game, period, by both squads.
You can attest to this too. There's no worse conditions to play football in. I'd rather, me personally, I'd rather play in rain than in wind. But to be fair, yeah, it didn't help us. But if ever there was a game that proved that we need to be looking to invest in a striker in their prime, it was this game. Like, I know it can be, it's been quite atypical of Everton all season, really being inconsistent. And we perform well one week, we go away, and then next thing we get beat 3-2 by Newcastle, or get beat 2-0 by Fulham. Just those type of results that have really kept us from capitalising on getting ahead of the likes of the Leicesters and the Wolves when they haven't picked up. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin, I think he missed about 3 or 4 really chances that if a striker puts them away, I think the rest of the attacking quadrant, as Terry said, they would have played with a lot more confidence and assertiveness. And I said in my match report, I think it's just a consequence of giving young players game time. We've seen how much he's developed. This has been like a real surge in his development, this phase of his career. But Terry mentioned it, like the games against the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, the Manchester United. I think how the Calvert-Lewin's benefited so well from that is that we haven't, although I think we probably come away with better possession stats than opposition in those games. We've been more reactionary.
I've got those stats here, Max. I wrote them down because I wanted to talk about the same thing.
Yeah, I'd imagine he'd be stretching, and you could tell he was stretching the pitch a lot more. His hold-up play was a lot more in use. I remember that certainly in the second half of the Chelsea game it was. However, as you mentioned there, 64% possession for us when we're really expected to dominate and play an expansive possession-based game. And I just don't think he's got it in his utility box to play that type of striker yet, to be in a team that is expected to dominate. So personally, I think you can criticise Marco Silva a little bit for the substitutions. I think the substitution came far too late. I think Lookman only had 6 minutes, when, to me, personally, after the doubts about Richarlison, he should have really started the game. And Cenk Tosun, given how many chances Calvert-Lewin messed up with, I think Cenk Tosun should have been on from the half-time whistle, really. And that little that back heel flick with his back to goal.
That was pretty sweet.
That's a Puskas Award winner if that goes in. But it's one of those days. Of course, we hit the bar 2 times, and although this is kind of focused more on the fact that it's 2 points dropped and we weren't really at the races, it was another dominant performance. And if you're looking at positives, another clean sheet. I think Pickford's I think ahead of just behind Alisson and Lloris, it might be, in terms of clean sheets this season. So, another good defensive showing from the lads. And Crystal Palace are a really hard team for us to come against. I said it in the preview. I never really fancy our chances when it comes to playing Crystal Palace, because they seem to perform really well off the ball. And that was the case. As you mentioned about Sigurdsson, I don't think he was being involved as such, or he wasn't being found with that final ball. However, I think that's down to a lot more emphasis being on the wing play. Because as you say about Richarlison, although, he was caught in possession at times, I think his combination play with Coleman's improved drastically over the last couple of weeks, and that game in particular, there were some really good examples of them being able to find each other. So with that improving, maybe we'd miss out playing in the middle a bit more, but it is what it is. After that result, I don't think we're on course for finishing 7th, but it's just finishing the season off now, isn't it? And there are positives to take.
Yeah, as we said, 64% possession for us. Versus United, we had 48% possession. Versus Fulham, we had 59%. Versus Arsenal, we had 43%. Versus West Ham, we had 51%, which is sort of an outlier. Chelsea, we had 33%. Newcastle, we had 55%. The only game in which we won and had more possession was West Ham. I mean, that's a trend. It's really hard. And just to be completely fair, I went back a little bit more. Against Cardiff, we also had more possession, but let's be honest, Cardiff looked bad that day. So, and West Ham didn't look great when we played them either. But it's something to consider. And I keep wondering, what I'm starting to see is when on Twitter, and this is something I addressed a little bit last time when we were talking about our match preview. being able to break down these teams that sit back a little bit more when we have more possession. It's just, it's tough. And I don't know if it has to do with that as much or if it has to do with just a sloppy game with the elements. Because, windy games are shit to play in. And you saw it affect several times where a ball is going to go out of bounds and the wind just says nope. The ball drastically changes direction. That happened. But it's one of those things. Both teams had to deal with that, though. Both teams had to deal with the elements. I don't want to sit there and say it was sloppy just because of that. But are we having trouble breaking some of these kind of teams down? It's hard to it's really hard to deny the numbers on that,
I think it's just a sort of lack of cutting edge and killer instinct across the whole team. Like, you could have Aguero up front, but if, I don't want to pick on him, but if Seamus Coleman's going to smash across like 2 yards behind him, then what's he going to do? Like, the whole team just were not making the most of some of the chances. Okay, but there were some good ones, which, Calvert-Lewin did squander, but I don't know. I think it's not down to one position. I think it's harsh to suggest that it's just a new striker will fix all of it. It'll solve some of the problems, but you also need, as a team, to get more accustomed to taking your chances and making more of the opportunities you get, because we've always got you pointed out those games where we've got more possession. We've got lots of good possession and good spells in the opposition final third, but if we against Arsenal we could have scored 5 goals. I was petrified that we were going to concede after wasting so many chances. The only game we've actually been clinical in was the Man United game. And we just need to get more used to being like that and making those chances count, because there's been a lot of games this year where we've squandered chance after chance after chance, and it's not specific to one player. It just seems to be something that the squads are learning. And to be honest, we've got getting a fair amount of young players in the team. It's something they'll learn the more they play, like Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, to name just 2.
Yeah. I still think teams that possess the ball more, we have more chances to press more and just disrupt them in places where they don't want to be disrupted. Play against those teams that don't possess as much. They have their defense set more. We're not able to press as much, and it's not as effective. We don't catch them with their pants down as much. I think Sigurdsson as a player, his pressing helps a lot, but it also I think he's a better player with more space. I think at some point we're going to have to consider a player being able to come in for him in certain games, more like a quick, skilled pass master type of player that can help us penetrate defenses a little bit more in terms of packed defenses. I just feel like we need those type of players, and we have some of them on the wings. We do. Yeah. But I think we need 1 or 2 through the middle. I think that's something that's just going to help us in games like this where we're kind of stymied. You get to that point, you just need to throw another option out there, something that gives you a different look. So, I don't know.
And possibly, I know we've become fixated. We've got quite a fixed position now in that we like to keep Bernard and Dean on that left and Coleman and Richarlison on the right. But I feel like in order to progress the team, I think you need to, start dropping the wide players possibly in the hole just to see what they can do. For example, Lookman, for example, Bernard, just to spice it up a little bit, check out their capabilities in different kind of more fluid formations, which I'd imagine would only serve us better going forward.
Interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of this also is going to have to do, as usual, we're not going to see a whole lot of answers at the moment. I think our answers are going to come in the summer in some form. So, yeah. All right. Anything else on this one, guys? I feel like we've covered a lot of the talking points.
Nope.
No, pretty much everything.
Yeah, I'm okay to be done with this one. Just a really sloppy game. It was just really unsatisfying to watch us, squander, be a little wasteful here and there. And just watch so many passes go like 3 to 5 yards off. That's just agitating to watch when you know for a fact we're not normally like that. So anyway, all right, but it's over. Looking forward to Burnley this Friday game. That's the thing that's happening. All right, guys. So we're going to move on, talk about Tom Davies in our next segment. A new contract coming, question mark, possibly, yes. And what's he like moving forward? It's a good question. So, but if you've been digging the videos, please subscribe to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel. We sincerely appreciate it. Just reached 1,600 subscribers. So thanks so much for that. We're slowly climbing toward the old $2,000. Slowly getting there. Baby steps. Working it. If you want more Terry, check out Liverpool Echo fan Gerry, where he will be appearing every so often. Keep an eye on his Twitter for that, and we'd all just appreciate that. Also, keep an eye on Max's Twitter, because he'll be appearing here and there, but also always on the Toffee Blues website, where he will be dropping the occasional bit of analysis on Everton there. Gentlemen, let's move on. Talk about one of my favorite players. And